Welcome to the second episode of the Eat Sleep Stream podcast. My name is Gus, and I'm here today with the one, the only, Fyrefox. How you doing today?
Hey man, I'm doing pretty well. Doing pretty well. It's about 10 p.m. my time, so I've been up a while, but doing good. Doing good.
That's good. Did you work today?
I did not work today, but it has been a very long day. Just doing regular daddy, husband, living life things as we all do.
Exactly.
So,
And that's one thing, like, why I wanted to do this too, because it's like everybody who's going to be on it is going to be streamers, but
mhm.
obviously we all live different lives. I
Oh yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
you were putting your kids to sleep right now, so it's like you have a family. I kind of want to ask you about that too in a
Yeah,
little while.
sure.
But for the people who don't know you, who are you? What do you stream? And yeah, we'll go from there.
Well, I mean, I'm Firefox. People call me Firefox. Yeah, it's Firefox, whatever. I'm a variety streamer, but I stream what I want to stream. I tend to not really follow trends. I don't stream, what people want to see for views and all that stuff. I stream for fun. It's a hobby. I don't depend on it. I work a full-time job. As I was saying, I'm a father. I'm a, I'm a husband. So it's strictly hobby. I do it for fun and I just stream what I want to stream, man. You know, it's taken a little bit of getting used to, starting out. It's one of the, and I think everybody has that problem is finding your how how you're going to become comfortable in front of a camera, in front of other people, because it's one thing when you just sit here and play games, obviously, but then when you got a camera on you and you realize people are watching you, watching your facial movements, like, some people like, and I didn't realize this until I started streaming that, like, when I would play games, I'd be like, oh, like
Yeah,
really into it, man. And then when I started streaming, I was like, I can't, this is kind of boring. I can't just sit here and, just kind of be all up tense. I got to relax. But then on top of that, I have to kind of learn how to game while relaxed. So that's another whole other thing, but not to not to get too far away from the question at hand. Yeah, I'm a variety streamer. I play a lot of stuff, man. But you'll see me playing a lot of Overwatch. I'm into that lately. Gonna start Kingdom Hearts playthrough tomorrow, actually,
oh, nice.
and that's gonna be launch day. So I play some of that. I play Dead by Daylight from time to time. Play some WoW. A little bit of everything. I don't really do the big popular thing right now, Fortnite. I do play it from time to time. I don't really stream it. It's not one of my favorite games. It's a
Yeah, I
good
don't think I've
game.
ever seen
Um,
you stream Fortnite.
I did a few. I did a few times, but it's been months ago. It was before it became like the cool thing to do.
Yeah,
And I say that lightheartedly, jokingly, kinda, but I feel like it's kind of become more or less a fad. But
mhm.
that's neither here nor there. It's not really for me,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I feel like with at least the people that I watch, if they do stream those bigger games, it's because
Mm,
they actually enjoy it. It's not like, oh, Fortnite's the big thing. That's what we're gonna do now.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but
You have to enjoy the game for sure. I mean,
yeah,
otherwise, why waste your time?
exactly. Um, what
Hope you don't
got you?
mind. I'm drinking a little bit of beer. Um, so for all you kids at home, if you're under 21 in the United States, don't do that. It's illegal.
Thank you for the
But
little warning there.
once you hit of age, knock yourself out. Knock yourself out.
What was I gonna ask? Oh, how did you hear about Twitch? And like, what made
Uh,
you get into it?
man. Oh man. I remember watching early days. I remember watching Summit like 3 years ago play Counter Strike. I was really big into Counter Strike Go at the time, and it may have even be longer than that. Maybe closer to 4 years ago now. Um, I was watching a few streamers who actually were not considered streamers at the time, believe it or not, because streaming just blew up over the last like 2.5, 3 years, I
Yeah.
guess. And there was this guy who does live streams now, but he would make videos um, and post them to YouTube, and then he started streaming through YouTube. Um, and he did Twitch as well, but he didn't like the Twitch media as much. So he started, he preferred YouTube. That's fine. That's neither here nor there.
Mhm.
Potato potato type thing. But um, I watched him, and then um, watching him, I heard people asking him about Twitch and why he didn't stream more on Twitch. And at the time, I didn't know what Twitch was, and I was like, well, I'll check it out. And then once I checked it out, I was like, whoa, this is really cool. The layout, everything. To me, I just liked it better
Mhm.
than the other platforms that were available at the time. And I remember being really big into Battlefield 4 at the time. Whenever Battlefield 4 came out for the consoles, I was
Mhm.
big into that. And that's so however long ago that was, 4 or 5 years. 'Cause I can't remember time frame exactly, but that I was watching some of those, and then I stumbled upon Summit because I was still into Counter Strike a good bit at the time, and I think this was before he really took off and became huge. Um, and so that's when I first saw it, and I watched a little bit of him, but I wasn't really into streaming at the time. I was more so just into gaming, like um, in my free time, just working a full time job,
Mhm.
and of course, being a dad, being a husband, family, all the expectations, all of the responsibility, and all that stuff. You don't have it's hard to find the time to to get the gaming in, to get the hobbies in, and not only I mean I have lots of hobbies as you can see behind me. I have fish, and that's just another thing, but you know. It was probably a year after that I really got into Twitch because I actually don't have cable television at home.
Me neither.
I have Netflix and I have Twitch, and if I want to watch a movie or a TV show, I'll find something on Netflix or I'll go rent something out of Redbox, something like that. But other than that, I just watch people play video games, man. A lot of people see it as a lot of people, especially older people at work, they don't understand it. They're, hey man,
Yeah.
how can you just sit there and watch somebody play games? I'm like, it's not just sit there and watching someone play games, it's watching them interact. It's
Yeah.
interacting with them. It's their whole persona, how they do everything. It's interesting and it's entertaining.
Mhm. Yeah, that was one thing. Well, to the people who don't know, we kind of met through Smitty 710, who was on the last podcast, and we talked about that too, on how, for the people who don't understand, one point he had was, if let's say for instance, like you were watching Summit, you were watching CS:GO,
Right.
you played CS:GO too, right?
I did play it. I didn't get into it competitively
Mm.
because at the time I didn't have a full on like desktop that would really run anything outside of Smite.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was a console player back then. I had
Mhm.
Xbox One, had a PS4, um, and I was playing console games. The only thing I was playing on PC at the time was Smite because it was the only thing my PC could run. And then I had these goals. I was like, man, I'd really love to build a gaming PC,
Yeah,
but it was like another shit, man.
it takes a lot.
2 years before I saved up the money, and even then, you know, being trying to be a responsible adult, trying to be, everything that I feel like I need to be in today's society, um, as a 28-year-old, whatever the hell, you want to call someone in my status. Um, it's hard for me to justify spending that kind of money on something that I'm like, this is more or less a plaything.
Mhm.
Um, so I finally pulled the trigger around Black Friday. Um, I think it
This
was
past Black Friday.
no, no, it was. I think this rig is like 2 years old now. It was
Okay.
maybe 6 months after the 1080s came out, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna because they were doing these outrageous sales. It was like God, everything had a mail-in rebate at the time,
Oh, yeah.
and the 1080s had just started to come down just enough in price to where they were not like $1,000. Like the 2080s now, the 2080 Ti's are like 1,200 bucks. That was when
Yeah.
the 1080 was the same price point, and I saw the 1080s were like 500 bucks, and I was like, man, that's expensive, but at the same time, that's really cheap.
Yeah. And for the people who don't know
Knowing
what 1080s are, 2080, it's the graphics card for the computer. So if you don't know, it's when you're making your own computer trying to get this all set up.
absolutely, they're at the time, that was the if you had a 1080, man, you were the shit,
Yeah.
or you were making it. So, anyways, I finally broke down, spent that money, and man, I've been loving it ever since. PC gaming, like I mentioned earlier, Kingdom Hearts comes out tomorrow, um, and I have no ties to any company. I'm not selling anything, but
Yeah.
um, if it were coming out on PC, I would be playing it on PC, but
Mhm.
it's not. So I'm going to be playing it on PS4. Um, but
Nothing wrong
other
with
than
console.
no, there's nothing wrong with console. I played God of War, the newest God of War. That game's amazing, by the way. Super fun, especially if you played the old ones. There's the nostalgia feel, but they change it just enough to where it's like, oh man, this is kick ass again. Like they really did this justice. Anyways, great game. Played it on console. Um, there's nothing wrong with console. I just prefer the performance of the PCs.
Yeah.
PCs, it's customizable. Man, you can make. You don't have to spend $2,000 on a PC to get a good PC. You know what I'm saying? You can play any game without spending that kind of money. But just knowing that you have the potential to upgrade where you can't do that with a console outside of upgrading your storage capacity, just it speaks, volumes per se.
And a little off, or not off topic, but a little sidetracking of what we were talking about a little bit earlier. Obviously, your family plays a huge part in your life, if anything, the biggest part.
Absolutely.
How does your family, one, how does it work out in terms of you living your life, supporting your family, and streaming? And then also, what does your family think about streaming?
Well, um, it's me and my wife, and I have a son. He's 6-year-old boy. Um, and they're absolutely wonderful. Love my wife, couldn't do it without her. My son's drives me nuts sometimes, but I wouldn't take anything for him in the world. But I mean, I work a full time job and it's hard. I don't work set hours. I work swing shifts.
Okay.
Um, I work 12-hour shifts, and it's a really crazy schedule. I work 2 weeks, 12-hour days, and then 2 weeks, 12-hour nights every month. So every 2 weeks, I'm switching between 9 days and I'm working 12-hour shifts. Um, and so it's hard. I have a lot of days off in between. Um, excuse me, burping a little bit. It's the Yingling. I don't get paid to say that. So, anyways, I'm off every other weekend, and then I'm off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And in that 3 day stretch, I have to completely flip my sleeping schedule. So it's hard. I'm on days right now, and when I'm on days, I get little to no gaming time. Um, so most of my streaming and everything happens the 2 weeks that I'm on night shift,
Okay.
and those are also the days that I'm off on night shift. So it's a really jacked up schedule. It's like I work Monday, Tuesday 1 week. I'm off Wednesday and Thursday, and then I work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's what I call my long week. And then the next week, it's the exact opposite. I'm off Monday, Tuesday, work Wednesday, Thursday, and off the weekend. So my second week is really short. I have 5 days off, but that 3 day weekend, man, I'm going from getting up at 6:30 in the morning to staying up until 8 a.m. in the morning. So just one of those things. But anyways, long story short, Um, it's hard. It is to try to do something that you really enjoy doing, but also try to be a responsible adult, try to be a good parent, a good husband. It's tough, you have to make sacrifices to make things work. Um, as far as streaming goes, um, my wife kind of has, or not has, she had kind of the same reaction to streaming that a lot of people have the first time they hear about it. They're kind of like, why would why, why would anybody want to watch somebody play video games? And then
Yeah.
the even more extreme reaction is like, why would anybody give somebody money
Oh
to
yeah.
watch them play video games? And it comes to a point where, I'm like, hey, look at it like this. You listen to music, those
Okay.
people are performing entertainment for you. It may not be live, but same thing. Same thing with movies. You're paying someone for your entertainment, and you donating money to someone on Twitch or you subscribing to them is really no different than that. If you think about it that way,
Hmm.
you're just paying them back. It's not an obligation. You don't have to. It's a courtesy for their entertainment.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's the
and
way
when
I
I,
see it too.
yeah, I mean, it it is what you make it.
Mm.
Um, and then when I started streaming, when I built my PC, I told her I was like, I think I kind of want to start streaming. I think it would be fun. Um, one because of my work schedule. I don't. I'm very busy, man.
Mm.
Um, on the days that I'm off, my wife works because we have a 6-year-old in
Mm.
school. So I work 12-hour shifts. She works 12-hour shifts in her profession, and she's also going to school to achieve a degree on top of that, a master's degree. So it's tough. And when I'm not working, she's working most of the time. So on my days off, especially when I'm on day shift, there's not a lot of time for me to sit down and game for 4 or 5 hours and stream that.
Yeah.
I'm lucky if I can sit down for 2 hours, but then again, I have the mindset at the time. I'm like, man, do I really want to start a stream and only stream for 2 hours and then just end? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because I'm a small streamer. Don't get me wrong. I'm lucky if I have 5 viewers constantly the whole time I'm streaming. But if somebody is watching me, because I watch small streamers too, we're all small streamers, most of us
Yeah.
anyway. I'll get on and, referencing Smitty earlier, I'll get on and right before this podcast, I was hanging out in Smitty's stream and, I'll sit there and watch him play, talk to him, shoot the shit, so to speak. And, same thing. But I feel like if I'm only on for an hour and a half, 2 hours, then I'm like, am I wasting people's time for being here? Kind of thing.
I mean, if you ask me that as a question, I would feel like it's not. The only thing is, like for instance, because I only what's like your average stream time?
Mm, somewhere around 4 hours, I think.
Okay,
Usually.
because me it's like 2 to 3,
2 or 3.
more towards 3, and
Okay.
then some random times I'll do like 6 or whatever it is. But I feel like if it's a shorter stream, it's like as a viewer, it would only I would think it not even from like for instance if it's you and you only stream for like an hour,
Right.
it wouldn't be like I don't look at it as oh Firefox is only streaming for an hour. Well, I'm not gonna watch them because they're gonna leave. It's more of like I don't know a lot of people set times to where if you're streaming for an hour, I'll probably catch you like the last 15 minutes. So I'll be upset with
Exactly.
myself, not you, but for me because it's like, oh man, like what are the odds? So it's not really like a well, that's the way I view it. It's not really like a the streamer. It's more of just me just like wrong timing.
Right. And I understand that too. And that's one of the other things that I feel like makes it hard for me working the schedule that I work is that I can't make up a set schedule and be like, hey, I'm going to stream from 7 to 10, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday every week because I just can't do that. The best that I could do is set a schedule for a 2 week time frame But then again, if I do that, I can't say, you know, I'm going to stream from 6 to 8 this day and this day because
Mhm.
I've got a wife who works, I've got a son who's in school, and it's flu season. Somebody might get
Oh,
sick. I might have a sick son that I got to take care of, and I don't want to. At the same time, I don't want to be, just pop in Discord in my Discord and be like, "Sorry guys, no stream tonight. Something came up."
yeah.
Which when somebody does that, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that at all. But at the same time, I don't want to lead somebody to believe, oh, hey, I'm going to do something, but now I'm going back on my word because me as a person, I really hold people high on what they say they're going to do
Mhm.
because I hold myself to that very same high expectation.
Mhm.
If I tell someone I'm going to do something, I make sure I do that.
Mhm.
I won't, dedicate myself and say, hey, I will help you do this or I will do this for you ahead of time unless I know that I'm going to be available to do so.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's just personal moral, you
Mhm.
know, moral fiber, I guess, so to speak. But that's just a belief of mine, I guess.
Mhm.
But going back to my wife, when I told her I wanted to start streaming, she was like, she didn't really think anything of it. And then she was like, well, you're not going to make money off of that, are you? And I was like, well, I don't, I don't plan on it. I don't intend to.
Mhm.
That's not the goal here. The goal's not to make money because I work and I make enough to support my family.
Mhm.
So I'm not doing this for money. If I did, I just play Fortnite every day because that's the number one viewed on Twitch. That or League of Legends one. I just
Mhm.
play one of those two games all day long. But that's not the case. I don't care about that, man. I do it for fun. And I explained that to her. And she was like, well, okay. She was like, I don't mind you doing it as long as it doesn't get out of hand. Because, I can admit that with hobbies, for people that only have one or two hobbies, it's very easy to let those hobbies kind of, you know, take control, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of hobbies, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say a lot of them are expensive. Like those are expensive. This PC is expensive. But I work for it, and I'm like, I work every day. I make sure the bills are paid. You know,
And that's one
when
thing
I get
too. It's
yeah,
like if you're doing what you got to do and you're buying stuff for yourself, to where it's like, how can I don't know. I can never judge somebody like that, and doesn't sound like you do either. But it's like I don't see how people could be like, you know what I mean? It's like it's
yeah,
your
man.
money. Do what you want.
Well, I mean, just a little bit about me. If when I get paid, the bill money comes out first.
Yeah.
I make sure that we got a roof over our heads, the lights are on, there's food on the table. Now, my wife works as well, so she helps me out with that. I'm not the only one contributing. We're a team, we do it together. I don't expect anything from her, she doesn't expect anything from me. And that's just the way we operate.
Mhm.
Um, that's just what we believe. Um, After that, we have clothes on our backs. My son's not going to go, he's not going to need for anything. He's not going to want. And my family sure shit is not going to want at the expense of my leisure.
Mhm.
So, after everything's paid, if I have money left over, $60, $100, new games coming out, fuck it, man.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts coming out tomorrow, pre ordering that shit. I want the game. Um,
Yeah.
and my wife doesn't have a problem with that. She doesn't have a problem with me spending my money on things that I want. I work, and I have the same respect for her, same belief when it comes to her and her money. We don't throw all of our money in the same pot and say this is our money.
Mhm.
If she needs help, I'll give her money. If I need help, if I'm running short, she'll give me money. But you know, that's just how we do things. But anyways, she can spend whatever she wants to with her money. Don't have a problem with it. Um, but yeah, I mean, she started warming up to the streaming. Like I said, she was like, as long as you don't, take get out of hand. And um, I know I kind of strayed away from the subject and the
Oh no,
topic,
no, go ahead.
but I can admit that just gaming, even back when I was strictly console gaming, and on my days off when I'd be on third shift, man, it was Destiny 1, and I'm talking raiding with the buddies from like 8:30 at night until like 8 o'clock in the morning. It was like 10, 11 hours straight,
Oh
man.
wow.
And it was hardcore, like trying to do raids, doing strikes, just grinding for gear, loot, just every day, as much as I could. And it was just the addictiveness that any hobby. I'm not gonna just say video games because it could be music, it could be shooting if you enjoy shooting, hunting, whatever the fuck it may be. Um, but I can admit that when it would get close to bedtime, I would be like, "Fuck yeah, I can play now,"
Yeah.
like and a lot of the times that's what I look forward to when I would get up at like, man, I really want to do that rate tonight. And it took me a little while and a couple of arguments, here and there to be like, I can't just I can't let my hobbies get in front of what's important, and
Mhm.
that's my family. Um, so we've came a long way, but streaming is another one of those things where I do enjoy it, um, and I have my ups and downs there, just like everyone does, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Um, there are times when I feel like nobody's watching. If nobody's talking in chat, I'll have this mindset of, well, I don't want to put on, and I don't mean to say that I put on an act because I don't. When I'm in my stream, I'm myself. I joke around and I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, with this, that, whatever. But I'm not going to put on a front. I'm not going to fake happiness. I'm not going to be like, hey guys, how you doing? Hit that follow button up in the corner. Um, I'm not going to do any of that.
Yeah.
But I'm a nice guy. I get along with people, even people that have differing beliefs from me, whether it be political, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm respectful,
Yeah.
even if I don't share the same view. If you believe something different from me, that's cool, man. Even if I don't agree with you, I'm not gonna argue with you about it. I don't care. Your beliefs don't affect me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
And
um,
and that's what I feel like. With streaming, it's like, or at least with Twitch, there's two types of people. Mainly streamers who are just like that. Like, I don't know anybody's beliefs on political views. I think on streamers that I watch, but we all. I'm pretty sure none of us have the exact same beliefs. So I mean, but we all get along. And there's people like that, and then there's pretty much trolls who are in chat who are the opposite, and that's
yeah,
a whole nother story. But yeah, I feel like in general, it's really like that. That's why I think I like Twitch too, and being a viewer is being able to connect with people through gaming or through whatever it is.
absolutely. I completely agree. I mean, with my busy schedule, not really schedule, but just life in general being busy, I have friends in real life. I don't get to see them much. My best friend I see like once a month. He lives like roughly an hour away now. Um, and I see him once a month, man. Um, and then on my days off, when my wife's at work, my son's in school, it can get lonely at
Yeah.
home, especially, when you're not out paying bills and doing stuff that need to be done.
Mhm.
It can get lonely. Everybody needs companionship, and I'm not talking about like I'm not
Significant
talking about
other, yeah.
anything crazy like that. But get on and watch streams during the day. Hey man, how's it going? Hey, how you doing? How's the family? This and that. Um, so there is definitely the good side of Twitch, and then there's also the asshole trolls that'll jump in somebody's chat. I'll never forget somebody jumped in my chat after playing a game of Overwatch one day, and I like fucked up an alt really bad. It was just wrong timing, and this dude popped in my chat somehow because I don't have like TTV or anything on my
Yeah.
thing. He was like, "Hey man, saw that ult." He was like, "It's fucking terrible." I was like, "Thanks, guy." You know,
See,
like I
that
don't,
makes
you know,
no
you're not
sense to me because it's
right.
like, do you think he was playing with you? And then,
It very well could have been. I don't
okay,
know. I mean, I don't really give a shit regardless because
yeah,
like you can come in my stream and call me a fucking asshole if you want to. I'm not gonna get
yeah,
triggered first of all because I'm just not that type of person.
yeah.
But you know,
But for
you
someone
do
to
have
take
those
the
people,
time to find your stream, go into your
right?
stream,
And
and
it, and,
comment
and
that,
you know, it's funny because whether they think they're being funny, who's seeing it? Their buddies.
yeah,
I mean, you're taking the time to find my stream and call me a fucking asshole or whatever. You know, okay, I don't care.
yeah,
It's okay.
yeah. And it's like I'm not playing competitive in any game too, so I already know I'm probably like if I were to squad in Call of Duty or whatever it is that I play, I'm probably the worst player. So I'm 100%. If anybody talks anything about me in chat saying like, "Oh, you messed up this," I'm like, "Then I don't care. I'm just doing it for fun."
Yeah, I mean, I play right now. I play Overwatch probably more than anything,
Mhm.
um, and I guess because I feel like that's what I am the best at right now because I play so much of it. I play a good bit of it, and sometimes when I'm doing bad, or maybe not even just myself, but if I get into a game and like my teammates are just yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's like that with every game, but let's just say if you're familiar with Overwatch,
Yeah.
for example, you get a Genji main who the dude won't play anything other than Genji. So he gets in and he insta likes Genji. Well, he may be fucking garbage. It happens.
Yeah.
But then or it could be the case where, hey, we really need something to counter this character. Farah, for instance, we really need a hit scan character, but the Genji won't come off the Genji
Mhm.
to play something we need. And those things get annoying, but at the same time, you can't take it. You can't
Yeah.
let that kind of shit bother you. You
Yeah.
can't let it ruin. You can't let it ruin your mood for one, because if you're playing, most people play games because they're fun. But at
Yeah.
the same time, you don't want to do that on stream because who's gonna want to watch you just be fucking salty? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And there are the people on the other side of the street who is like, oh, look at this guy, he's fucking flipping out, man. He's check this out.
Yeah.
But that's few and in between.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, I guess. But
Yeah. To each their own with that. I mean, I'm the same way. It's like one. It's I don't know. I just view a lot of game like for me. Like if you watch, even if we lose and it's like we could have won or whatever it was, I'll
mm,
if I do get upset, I'm upset for like 3 seconds. Like mainly, I could picture myself in Fortnite as just losing, and
yeah,
it's the loading screen going back to the main menu. And once the loading screen hits, I'm already over it. I'm already like, all right,
right.
like whatever.
You can just be like, well, we'll have my people get in touch with his people, and then we'll just fuck him up next time. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it's all right. Luckily, this is a video game. We have more than one life.
Oh yeah, true.
So, there's that.
Do you
Or if you
watch?
believe, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, 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 go keep going.
I was just gonna make a joke like if you believe and you have more than one life, that's cool too. That's I'm undecided, but
Um,
more power to you.
I was just gonna ask, do you watch Overwatch like professional?
I do actually. I watch a lot of Defran, um, and a couple others, but Defran's like the one I watch mostly just because he's funny. On top of it, he can be kind of a dick, and I find that hilarious. Um,
I'm sorry, I'm
so
not familiar with him. He a professional player or just like a professional streamer?
um, he he has like a roughly 5 to 10,000 viewers when he's
Okay.
online. So bigger, but not huge. I mean, he's not like Doctor Disrespect or fuck even Ninja or anything like that.
But
But
those guys are kind of outliers too. Well, not
they
outliers, but
are,
like they're crazy numbers. Like somebody like him with the numbers you said,
yeah,
that's still pretty
yeah,
big.
yeah. I mean, when you see like Ninja who has fucking what 70, 80,000 people and Summit with 40, 50. I think he's playing like Sea of Thieves pretty regularly now and he's
Yeah,
hitting like 40, 50,000. Those are
yeah,
the extreme outliers, but for the average
Yeah.
bigger streamer, rough between 3 and 5K. DeFran, I don't know, about, I'd say average 5 to 7 is what he normally pulls in, depending on the time of day. Peak, I think he's EU as well, but I think he's actually in the States right now. He was a professional Overwatch player, and then he got banned and kicked out of the league because people thought that he was throwing games competitively
Oh wow.
in the events. And so he was out of the league. He was out of that for a while. And then he just streamed Overwatch, on the side. And he's really good, which that's mainly why I watched him, other than the fact that he's a fucking dick and it's funny. But I learned a lot of things from him, like things that I would never have even thought of. Like holy shit, you can do that, or like things that I would never think that you could do in the game. And then here recently in the Overwatch League, they added, I think, like 6, 8, I don't know, maybe 10 new teams or something for the second season. And they added a team out of Atlanta called the Atlanta Reign, and they actually signed a Fran to a contract. So he's going to start playing competitive again here soon, whenever the fuck that starts. I think it starts in February. I'm not sure, but I do watch competitive Overwatch.
Okay. All right. I know one thing you talked about too is one of the reasons why, well, not why I started watching, like, because how I got into watching games was watching Call of Duty Professional first.
Really?
And then that got me into playing. And I remember kind of relating into like why I watched it too was there's a pretty much like you just said, like there's pretty much a spot in a map on Call of Duty, and no one knew that if you go at a certain angle of it, you can wall bang somebody on the other side. And a pro
Okay.
player did that, and then I was shocked when I saw that,
Yeah,
and then everybody in the comments was like, "I didn't know that was a thing." Anything,
yeah, that shit like blows your mind, right?
yeah, and that's happened twice, where it's
And
like
then you get on
big
that
time.
map and you're like, I have to try it. I have to see if I can do it,
Yeah,
because if I can pull it off, if I can get that kill, that other guy is not gonna know what the fuck hit him,
yeah,
like kind of thing.
and that's another thing. Like why, like when people say like, "Oh, like why do you watch streaming?" That's not my number one reason why, but it's cool to learn like tips and tricks from people who make money professionally off. It's like watching a basketball, like LeBron James, if you want to be a better basketball player.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Not the goat though. He's not the goat, but
Uh,
I agree.
I don't
I
believe
agree.
that
At the same
either.
time,
I
I don't believe
mean,
it.
I think he's the best
Um,
in the NBA right now, but not the
yeah,
GOAT.
yeah, I can agree with that. He's no Michael Jordan though. Never will be.
So
But
do you watch do
that's
you watch other stuff, other sports?
fine. Yeah, I'm super big college football fan, Georgia fan,
All
Bulldog
right.
Nation. I'm a dog. I watch baseball. I don't really watch too much basketball. I do, but I mostly watch playoff basketball. I used to watch it when I was younger. Loved Michael Jordan when I was a kid. I was a big Bulls fan. Michael Jordan's the Michael Jordan. He's fucking Michael Jordan. Um, but I do, man. I watch football. I like football. I like baseball. I'm a Braves fan. I'm from the Southeast, so
Mm.
I'm a Georgia fan, Georgia Bulldog fan. I'm a Braves fan. I watch a little bit of hockey. I'm into a lot of sports. I'm into a lot of things other than gaming, other than
Mm.
streaming. It's just streaming slash gaming, more so gaming because I don't stream as much as I like, but
Mm.
gaming more so. I do it probably the most out of all my hobbies just because, especially here during the summer months, and this is regional, but it's I don't want to be outside when it's 30
Right.
degrees outside. You know what I mean? It's
Mm.
too fucking cold. So I just, on my days off, especially at nights, I'm like sit in the house play video games.
Yeah.
Um, mainly because I don't want to fucking freeze.
Yeah.
But I'm really into disc golf. If you've ever heard, I don't know if you've ever heard of disc golf. A lot of people haven't, but it has kind of, oh, excuse me, it has kind of blown up in the past 5 years. But
I did see a stream. It was you and somebody else.
okay, so
Was it
you caught one
Bees?
of those. That's cool. Bees did it. I did it with Bees a couple of times,
Yeah, that dude.
which is another streamer, Bees Weasel. You can check him out. He's a nice guy. He's a personal friend of mine in real life. And then I was playing it with a couple of other of my friends, if I remember correctly. I know I did it with Jack. I think one other person. Anyway, disc golf is really fun too. Really fun hobby. I've been playing it for what is it? 2019. I'm going on 11 years playing disc golf. Um, so that's fun too. It's fun too. I like fish. I play guitar. Um, I
When you
like
say
snakes.
fish, do you collect fish or do you actually like you caught those and you know what I mean? Like do you
I
fish?
got you.
Yeah.
I do not do the sport of fishing.
Okay.
No, and it's just I grew. Despite the fact of my southern hick ass derp accent, um, I do not fish for sport. I keep fish as a hobby, and I did not catch these. These are all what are considered cichlids, and they are from either the main branch or the main Amazon River in America or one of the rivers that branches off of that. And two of the fish and three of the fish in that tank are wild caught, meaning they were actually caught in the river, and I have them now in a fish tank. And the other three are captive bred, meaning they were born, their parents were bred, born, and raised in a breeding facility. Sorry,
Oh no, no.
that's just random bullshit hobby information, but yeah,
No,
it's pretty
dude.
cool.
I
It's
mean,
different.
it's what you like doing.
Yeah.
It's a hobby. I feel like that's one thing too. It's like I feel like we're in an age where like everybody's so judgmental about what other people do. To where it's
Yeah.
like, dude,
Yeah, and
do
it's
whatever
a
you
it's
do that makes you happy.
it's all bullshit too. Like, and not to get too like radicalist or anything, or
Yeah.
even too quote unquote fucking hippie, but living today in 2019, everybody's so caught up in what you look like, what you're doing,
Yeah.
your fucking your appearance, your persona to the public. And it's like, what the fuck? Just be happy.
Yeah.
Do what you enjoy. Don't do this to please that person. Obviously, if you're married, don't just go out and do shit that you know is going to
No.
purposely piss off your fucking spouse or your parents or whatever. Don't be a
Mhm.
piece of shit. That's not what I'm saying. But do what makes you happy.
Mhm.
And if Joe Blow down the street doesn't like it, who gives a shit? He doesn't have to fucking whatever. He doesn't have to live with it. But you know, if you want to put on some rollerblades and rollerblade down the street with a pink tank top on and sing Grease, man, do it. All right.
So is that another hobby of yours or?
No, no, I just thinking of just whatever I could just throw
Yeah.
together that doesn't really relate in any kind of aspect.
Yeah.
Um, but anything, man. Skateboarding, extreme sports. I skateboarded when I was a teenager. I was terrible and fucking fell a lot, but I enjoyed it, so I did it.
Yeah.
I went through that phase, which I think I'm probably a little bit older than you.
Yeah, I'm 25. I had to think about
Okay,
that.
so not too
Yeah.
much, but I'm 28, about to turn 29 here in a couple weeks. But I went through like the goth, not really the goth phase. I don't want to say goth. I went through like the was into really heavy music phase, where I guess you could call it the screamo phase, but I don't like that term. I don't like the emo screamo
Mhm.
term. But that was when I was in like early high school. I went through like a skater phase when I was middle school, I guess. I went through a lot of phases like a lot of people do, but I've had a lot of hobbies. I still have a lot of hobbies. Some hobbies I don't do anymore. But moral to the story is do what makes you happy, man.
Mhm.
If you enjoy it, fucking do it. As long as you're not hurting, I mean, even if you're hurting yourself, and there's, a lot of controversy out there to say, you shouldn't do it if it hurts yourself. I'm drinking alcohol. It's not the best for me, but I fucking enjoy it. It tastes good. But
As long as it's not
regardless,
obviously to the point where it's like you're drinking like
exactly.
2 cases a day or something,
Exactly. And at the same time, I'm drinking. I'm not about to go get in my car and go drive
Exactly.
anywhere.
That's a whole nother.
I'm not an idiot.
Yeah.
But as long as you're not hurting anybody, man, enjoying it. If you want to play rock music, play guitar, play drums to the point to where your fucking ears bleed, as long as you're not pissing off your neighbors, do it. You know?
I know you kind of wanted. I don't know if you had anything in mind to talk about because we're already a little ways in, maybe 15, 20 minutes away from about an hour.
Man, really?
Yeah, see, it goes by
Man, fucking
fast.
time has flown. You know, when I signed up to do this thing, you know, my agent, Jerry, fuck, what's his name? Jerry Studebaker. He came to me. He said, Bruin. He was like, man, this guy Bruin. He was like your buddy, your pal, your friend on Twitch. He said he's got this podcast. I said, really? He said, yes. You should check him out on Twitter. And I saw the thing, and I was like, Jerry, you're a goddamn genius, you know. And he came to me. He was like, you should do this, man. He's like, this is gonna take your career, and it's gonna man, it's just gonna take off. And I said, you know what, Jerry? I said, I appreciate that. I said, you know, when Bruin came to you and he said, I gotta have Firefox. I said, you know what? I wouldn't do it for everyone, but I'll do it for you, Bruin.
Thank you.
So I'm
Yeah,
here.
it's
I'm
kind of a
here.
funny story because Jerry wouldn't return any of my texts or emails.
Hey, I
So,
mean, he can be a dick, man. I'll
mhm.
just be straight honest with you. Putting up with me is one thing, but putting up with Jerry, I mean, fuck, I don't know. I don't know why I pay him, to be honest, but you know,
well,
it's kind of is what it is. You
it'll
know, it's
be.
it's 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 the entertainment industry. It's the business, the
Mhm.
biz. But I mean, no, man. This thing's really. I appreciate you having me. This thing's flowing by. I had kind of had a mindset of how I wanted to act. I was going to be look kind of funny, you know, joking around, jokey. But this, you know, it went a little different than what I envisioned, and it hasn't been bad. It's been good. It's been fun. I mean, not, you know, I just kind of wanted to hang out, talk about really anything, you know, just my ideas, my beliefs,
Mhm.
not beliefs as in, you know, controversial shit. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna, excuse me, burping the beer, but you know, just sit down and shoot the shit and just talk. You know,
I mean,
um,
I just keep it at that time because well, when we first started talking, I was like, oh, man, he's putting his kid to sleep. And then you tell me pretty much everything about your family and everything. So I'm like, all right, let's try to, in my eyes, it's like cut it off as soon as I can so I can get you back to your life type thing.
no, man. I mean, now family's in the bed. Um, I mean, I have to be up at 7 a.m. my time, take my son to school, but it's whatever, man.
Well,
So
I
what do you?
mean,
I mean, how do you now? We're gonna flip the script a little bit.
all right.
So, h- how do you feel about streaming as a whole? Do you feel like, I mean, how do you feel like streaming is going? Do you feel like it's going to continue to build and take off, or do you feel like it's kind of plateaued and it's not going to go any further, or do you feel like it's going to you know, kind of descend and eventually downfall like a lot of popular media outlets kind of have over the past decade? Because you
Um,
think about it, a lot of people think, well, you know, and a lot of people who don't really understand streaming, and I get that's one of the opinions and the views and the mindsets on that. But a lot of people think, well, you know, you can even like say the ninja who's making, you know, he released a figure and gave a figure one time of and estimated him bringing in like 500 grand a month. But even the people that aren't making out astronomical
mhm.
figures in income and earnings, a lot of people out there think that this can't last more than another couple of years. You know, this isn't going to last because the fad right now, the fad, quote unquote, of gaming and being cool by playing video games is not going to last. But I'll tell you one thing. You know, I've been a gamer since I was a wee lad. You know, my son's age, 5 6 years old. So, with all that being said, how do you feel about the gaming industry and the streaming industry?
I kind of look at it the way I look at YouTube. Because like YouTube came out in 2006. I was I'm not very big into YouTube, but like watching YouTube. I watched a lot of YouTube since pretty much 2007, 6 ish. And I feel like there was a period where it was like, oh, everybody on YouTube who's doing good, PewDiePie's number one, Smod, like all these guys are doing really good,
All
and
right.
they were making millions. And this was probably at the peak. I don't know, 2012 ish, maybe. That's when like it started being like people were talking about becoming YouTubers and stuff. And those people are still around. There's even more people.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to I forgot who the other day, and we were saying like I remember watching YouTube, and if someone had 1 million subscribers, that was crazy.
Oh
That
yeah,
was
you were Michael Jackson, man. You
yeah.
were astronomical. And like it's funny that you mentioned like 2012 because I think I was in like the 7th grade at the time. I think I was in middle school. I was like 12 years old, and that was around the time when like the internet was getting bigger, because like I remember, Windows 95. My parents bought like this fucking gigantic IBM desktop computer that had like the fucking space pinball game on it. And we had dial-up internet, like the
Yeah.
fucking the next sound, and like that was like outrageous. That was like, oh my god, this is mind blowing stuff. And then like 5 years later, the internet started coming along, and we were getting DSL internet and things like that. And being in middle school, and when YouTube started coming along, that's when like I remember kids in class would be like, man, let's pull up YouTube and watch some videos.
Yeah.
And then I remember like that was around the time when the schools started like really looking at what the kids were doing on the computers because it was kind of the same thing of like the music in the 80s and like Doom in the 90s or the early 90s when people were like, oh, video games are going to ruin kids,
Yeah.
and this rock music is going to ruin the generation, and fucking drugs are everywhere and you got to watch your kids. And so the teachers were really worried about that. They were like banning YouTube in school and like setting up block. That's when the fucking firewalls and stuff were getting popular, and the internet security, and they were trying to block all that stuff to where you couldn't have any of that.
And what were
And
those webs? Oh, proxies. Proxies were a big
yeah, the
thing.
proxies, man. You could VPN proxy and bypass those. And I remember like me and some friends were doing that. And you remember like the mini clip arcade games and stuff like that?
No, I
Did
don't.
you ever see those? They were like, it wasn't YouTube, but it was like that and E Bombs World. You ever heard of E
Oh, I
Bombs
remember
World?
E-Bombs World. That's
And
old, dang.
like YouTube or Yahoo Games and stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That was like there was like those. Mini Clip was just another E Bombs World. Um, is all that was just another gaming website. And then they started shutting all that down because we were playing like there was like this little game where you were like a stick figure and you were trying to go through this ghetto ass town and escape the stick figure world where all these other stick figures were trying to kill you. And you were like shooting the stick figures.
Do you remember what it was called? I feel like I remember
I
that.
think it was like Escape from Greenville or something. And it was like you were a blue stick figure and the rest of them were like green or some shit. And you were trying to escape and all of them were trying to kill you.
Oh,
And
damn.
like you had like a stick figure gun, like just an L, and you would shoot the stick figure and it would like shoot blood on the ground and like I remember one of my teachers saw it one day and they were like, oh my god, this is breathtaking, we got to get this off, we got to get this out of the schools, these kids are going to be ruined, they're going to be murderers, and the next Ted Bundy. And it's crazy how that stuff has come along because now you see kids are fucking 5 years old and playing Fortnite, and I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but you know, parents are letting kids do it. They're
Yeah.
letting them play Mortal Kombat. Of course, I can't say anything. I was playing Mortal Kombat at 6, 7 years old on the Sega, but like Mortal Kombat now is worlds worse than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, um,
The
but
graphic. Did you watch the trailer for the new one?
oh god, yes, man.
That's
I'm so psyched for it.
crazy.
It looks amazing. And to be a kid that grew up playing like Super Mario on the regular Nintendo and
Mhm.
Punch Out with my dad, Mike Tyson's Punch Out before
Oh yeah.
the controversy, before they had to rename it like just regular Punch Out, like playing that with my dad on regular Nintendo, man. Like coming from that and going to like the Super Nintendo with the Donkey Kong and the N64 and the PS1, like that compared to today, who would have ever thought like you look at the new Mortal Kombat like trailer and you're like, that looks fucking real, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
go
man.
on. Oh,
Yeah. Oh no, just like I don't feel like I'm talking too much
oh no.
because I went into this thing and Jerry told me he was like, you can't just be, you can't. He was like, I'm telling you, Fire, you gotta go out there and you gotta knock them dead. I said, Jerry, you're the boss. I was like,
We should have
you're
Jerry
the
on next
manager.
time.
Jerry, man, I'll get him, but he said, I told you, man, he's such a dick, dude. Like Jerry, God,
Probably
it's like it's
gotta
one of
pay
those
him like
things.
double what I'm paying you, right?
Yeah, typical Jerry. You know, that's all you can say. You're just like, fuck, it's Jerry, man. Like, what do you expect? But no, really, on a serious note, like, man, just gaming today, YouTube today, the whole thing is just it's crazy to think of where we are. You know, fucking computers in our hands, cell phones. You know, and I'm not even before cell phones. Before I remember having a little flip phone. I remember the little Nokia phones. You know, that kind of thing. For being really young, like 10 years old or whatever, and now playing fucking 1080p video
Yeah.
content, watching Twitch on my phone on break at work and shit. I'm like, man, like unlimited data, high speed shit. I remember being 10 years old and having dial up and living in a single wide trailer in the country and being like, okay, I want to download that 4 minute Limp Biscuit song.
And it
It's
would
gonna take
take
an
like an
hour.
hour.
It's gonna
Yeah.
it's gonna take an hour and 45 minutes to download 3 minutes worth of content.
I
And now it's
remember.
like you can download a 100 gigabyte game in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I remember I had the first music like listening device I ever had was an MP3 player where you had to put a memory card in or else there was no memory on it.
Oh right, yeah,
And the
yeah.
memory card I had was like 20 megabytes. So it was only like four songs. And I remember taking that everywhere and being like, man, like listening to these same four songs where now it's like I have Spotify and I have
Right.
over
You
a
have
thousand just saved on.
you have unlimited shit at your fingertips.
Yeah.
And back in the day, you were like, I got 10 songs, man, and these fucking songs never get old.
Exactly.
You know? Oh man, that's great. But no, I'm sorry to cut you off, man. I'm just trying. I told myself, like I said, I promised Jerry, I was like, I'm going to talk, but now I feel like I'm talking too much.
No,
Uh,
this is
but I want to be,
you're the main
I want to
person
be,
in
I
this.
want to be entertaining too, and I appreciate you inviting me on.
Mhm.
Um, I wanted to come on, but I also want to give you what you want. What do you want from
And that's
this
something I was going to tell
experience?
you too, which I don't think I have, is for me personally, I'm not doing this to, like you said, to make money or views, whatever it is. Honestly, I'm doing it to one, get to know the people on here a little bit more. Like out of all the people, I probably know Smitty the most, but there
Right,
was still stuff that I learned about him through just us talking one on one. None of us, we're not streaming right now. It's just a conversation between the two of us.
right,
And
right.
same thing
And
with
sometimes
you and
that's the
everyone
best way to
else.
do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sometimes that's the best way to do it, because when you're in Twitch chat, that's one thing, you know, you can say something. And sometimes I will jump in somebody's chat, like Smitty, for instance. We go to the default. It's Smitty. Everybody loves Smitty. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you? But sometimes I'll say things that I'm like, I'm pushing those limits, but I'm doing that, purposely.
Hmm.
I am trying to be. I'm like, not that I'm trying to see what I can get away with, but I'm trying to. I push those limits to see, like, okay, who is this guy? Who is this girl?
Hmm.
Because that's one of those things. Like even the crazy, and not to get into any of the subjects, but fucking gun laws, abortion, all that shit. Everything that's wrong with the world today that
Hmm.
people are arguing about. None of the people on Twitch are going to just come out and tell you what those views are because a lot of people are scared that if they say those things, how they really feel, whether it's for one side or for the other,
Hmm.
somebody might get offended and they may not come back.
Mhm.
And in my streams, personally, you don't have to like what I say. You don't have to like my beliefs or my opinion. You don't have to come back. I'm sorry if you get upset, but it's still my opinion.
Mhm.
Your opinion may be different from mine, and that's okay. I'm not mad at you for that. You're a person, I respect your opinion. But if you ask me a question in my stream, I will answer it.
Mhm.
And I will answer it, honestly.
Mhm.
Um, but you don't know when you go into somebody's stream what kind of person they are.
Yeah.
Especially, when it comes to Twitch, it's networking. And
Mhm.
if you're trying to establish a following, not necessarily a following. I don't wanna sound like I'm fucking, Steve Austin and I have this following of fans.
Yeah.
No, like if you're trying to establish a community, sometimes I won't go into like games I don't care anything about. I'm not gonna go to like the Lego Batman channel because I don't care about the game. I don't play those types of games.
Mhm.
But I'll go into like the Overwatch and I'll scroll down to the less than 10 viewer section
Mhm.
because every game has that, every category has that section.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I'll look at people and I'll be like, this guy looks pretty cool. This girl looks pretty cool. Or I'll look at their layout and I'll be like, this person has a really clean layout.
Mhm.
I like this. Let me stop in and see what kind of person they are. But even when you go in there, not everyone streams like I do. Not
Mhm.
everyone streams like you do. Those people at the same time will not have the same outlook on streaming as we do. They might be fucking try harding to be the next Ninja Man. They may be
Yep.
streaming 12 hours a day. I don't know. But when you get in there, you don't know who that person is, how they're going to act, and they're not going to tell you their beliefs. So I try to push those buttons a little bit. I
Mhm.
say things that I feel aren't crossing the line, but they're pretty fucking close. Um,
Crossing the line of
anything,
oh, okay.
anything. I mean,
Well, like not to get
I'm
into
not
specifics, but like, well, because you just said like right now, like you state the truth for what you feel to where what would be
true,
crossing the line for you.
but I'm not going to say that in someone else's stream. I'm not going to say that.
Oh, okay, okay,
In
okay,
that
yeah,
right in my own stream, that's one thing.
yeah.
But I'm
Okay,
not going
yeah,
to go into somebody else's stream and start shit and be like, I believe this guy.
yeah.
This is my thing. You don't like it, fuck you. No, no, absolutely not. I'm but crossing the line for me would be like, you know, just shutting someone down, something
Yeah.
like that. I'm not disrespectful.
Mhm.
I may go in and I'll tell a joke, but I won't tell it at anyone's expense except for maybe Smitty, just because.
And that's another
Why
thing
not?
too. It's like you can't just like I could probably like you said we could probably joke with Smitty about something,
Right.
but even
But
me and you, I might joke with him one way, and if I were to say it to you, that might
yeah,
be
and
wrong.
people
So
people
yeah,
take things differently, and
yeah,
like I said, I'm not just going to go into somebody I've never been in before and be like, this fucking guy over here, this
yeah,
fucking piece of shit,
yeah.
you know. But no, I mean, I even like in Smitty streams, even in Bees' streams, like I know Bees on a very personal level. We used to live together, believe it or not,
Oh,
and we were roommates
I
for a
was gonna
year.
ask you real quick. Were you did you know him before streaming or from streaming?
Oh no, I knew him before. We went to different high schools, but we lived in the same town, and we had mutual friends. And around 70, he's a year older than me, but I think I was around 17, 18 at the time. We ended up getting an apartment together. It was his apartment actually. He just let me move in and kind of stay there for a little while, and it ended up turning into a year. We became really good friends. And got into a bunch of dumb shit together, crazy shit, whatever, because kids do dumb things. And there's even things that we might talk about in real life that we wouldn't necessarily joke about on stream. And not because it's things that you shouldn't joke about. That's not what I'm saying. Not like
Mm.
fucked up things, but just like,
Personal
I'm not going to
stuff.
go in, I'm not going to go into a stream and talk about, personal
Yeah.
things, like I'm at, he may joke to me about something personal in my life in person, but that would be a cross line in a stream, you know? So I guess that's more so what I'm saying. I don't mean to sound like I don't want to come off as being too much of an asshole.
And I don't. I've never seen anything that you've posted that it's like that.
Most of it's just good fun humor, to
Mhm.
be honest. Most of it's a lot of stupid puns because, you know, everybody loves a pun, man.
No, that's true. Me and my friend, we used to go into grocery stores and just try to find puns of certain things, just randomly walking through the store.
Right? It's like, hey, Bruin, what's brewing, man? What's wrong
So
with
for the
you?
people who are listening or watching, when I asked Firefox to come on, we were talking about it, and then he said, "You know, would be a good name. What's brewing with Bruin?"
Hey, hey, man, it was just right off the dome. Like I don't know why, but it just came to me immediately, and I was like, "What's brewing with Bruin?"
Yeah.
It'd be a great segment.
And I kind of wanted it to be a name too, where it wasn't really associated with my name, more of
Right,
about what
right,
it's about, which is
true,
streaming.
true, and that's why, like, you could I could just recommend to say, hey, you can make your chatting segments like what's brewing, like the news, like a news segment, like what's brewing today, what's brewing right now.
Yeah.
But you know, anyways, like I said, Jerry, he's a son of a bitch. But
I could do that in the future. Like in the beginning, talk about whoever it is that's on, and then we'll have the what's brewing section where it's just like, hey, what you heard about stuff that's going on today type thing.
yeah, like this past weekend with the Anthem beta that completely fucking shit the bed. I'm just
With the
kidding.
what? Oh, the Anthem beta. Oh
The Anthem
yeah.
beta, I played it. I actually got into it. The gameplay was really fun, but it was so fucking buggy. It scares me because it's a month away from release, a month away from launch, and people are like just can't even get into the game. It's
That's
so buggy.
crazy.
So
Yeah, I just heard
that would be
about
a good
that.
thing. That would be like a news thing, Um,
That's crazy. Was that buggy? Because like the only beta I've ever played before launch is Call of Duty, and they
right.
I don't know if you've heard. Do you play Call of Duty?
I do. I do. I've played it since Call of Duty 3, since
Oh wow.
360, way back in the day.
Yeah, way before me. But have you played Blackout then, right? Or sorry, Blackout. Or no? Have you heard of it?
Blackout? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've got it on PC. I actually have it on PS4 too. It was on down because I have friends. I still have friends that play console that don't have PC, and they're like, man, you never play with us. And then I feel like a piece of shit because I'm like, those are really good friends of mine that I met, played Destiny with for a good 2 solid years.
Yeah.
And I downloaded Blackout and I played it for about 4 hours with them, and I haven't played it since.
Yeah.
So I feel like an even more complete piece of shit because I haven't played it since. So there's that.
Yeah. But I just mentioned Blackout because the beta came out and there were issues like the armor, leveling up, stuff like that. But it ran good. Like there
Yeah,
was
yeah,
hardly any server issues or anything like that. And this was a month before launch.
right. And even with the Anthem beta, man, like the actual gameplay itself, when it wasn't buggy and laggy, it
Mhm.
felt very fluid. It felt very good. But like, let's just say, for instance, there's a dungeon, and I'm assuming they're going to be called dungeons, but it's a dungeon esque. If you're familiar with WoW, there's raids and dungeons, and it was like a dungeon esque experience, and like you would get halfway through the dungeon, and it would just kick you out of the game,
Oh wow.
and you would finish it, and it would take you to the loading screen to go back to like the social place, and I don't remember what it's called, Fort something, but you'd be on a loading screen, then you would get like 90% through the load, and you would just sit there, and it would be infinite loading screen, and
Oh
it would never
wow.
do anything. You would have to just close the app, open it, or close the game, open it back up, and hope it would come up.
And why release a beta if it's that bad? Because then it's
I
just gonna make
agree.
people not want to play.
I agree. And the same thing, people that are on the fence, because I was wondering, I was like, man, if this is going to be a console that EA funded, that BioWare made, if this is just going to be a console game that they ported to PC and it's going to feel really clunky because it was designed to be played on console, I don't want to buy it.
Yeah.
So I completely understand that, that mindset. Why release it? But at the same time, I kind of felt like maybe, and I think they tried to come out and say that this wasn't the case at all. But at the time, I felt like it was more of a, hey, let's see what our servers can handle. Let's stress test this shit, and we're gonna do it in the form of a VIP beta.
Yeah.
But they claim they did release a statement claiming, in concerns to the infinite loading screens, they said that, and this isn't word for word quote, but it was something along the lines of they were aware of the problem and they did not want to issue a fix because they felt like if they did, they were afraid that it may cause problems for the people that were playing without any problem, and they didn't want to interfere with that. So that's cool and all, but you're still fucking over the people that can't play it.
Yeah.
So there's that.
And to get it, what was it? You just had to pre-order the game?
No, actually, I signed up when I don't remember when they announced it, but as soon as they did, I was like, man, because this was around the time Destiny 2 came out. It had been out a few months, and I played Destiny 2, but I never got that strong pull in like I did with Destiny 1. I wasn't hooked on it like I was saying earlier. And I was looking for something else to play, and I went back to World of Warcraft and I was playing it really heavily for a few months. And then I saw Anthem and I was like, man, this may be the next Destiny. This may be the Destiny killer. So I immediately went to their website and they were allowing you to sign up for the newsletter. So I signed up for the newsletter, but there was this little fine print in there that was like, signing up for this newsletter will sign up for possible promotions and stuff like that. And including in those promotions was like an invite to the closed alpha. That was like last month. I played the alpha and it kind of had issues similar. Some people couldn't get into the game at all. But then I got an invite to the VIP beta, from that. So we're back from the commercial break. Sorry, Jerry called, and he's
more business propositions.
Yeah. Like I'm off tomorrow, and he was like, "I need you to do this publicity thing," and I was like, "Dude, Kingdom Hearts tomorrow." I was like, "Jerry, I'm sorry, but I'm not doing it." Okay.
It's like, but Firefox, it's The Rock. He wants to meet you. Sorry, Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I told him, I was like, man, Stone Cold was better. That's all I'm saying. The Rock, he could beat my ass, but sorry, man, you're never going to be the Texas Rattlesnake. Sorry.
All right. Well, it is getting a little late, and just to wrap things up,
sure.
I just want to ask you two questions.
One, shoot, man.
It's going to be a controversial question, and the
controversial. Holy shit.
And the other is going to be a lighthearted one that I just like asking people for myself.
Sure.
And the controversial one is a hot dog a sandwich?
Is a hot dog a sandwich? I'm going to say no.
Why?
Because it's not two separate pieces of bread.
Okay. I don't have a yes or no for this.
Is one piece of bread split, but there's a hinge. It's not two separate pieces. And have you ever eaten a sandwich that wasn't two pieces of bread?
Actually, yes. Doesn't Subway make their sandwiches like that?
Subway? I don't think so. Do they?
Well, I know there's a place I go to, which I love, and my dream would be to be sponsored by them somehow. It's a place called Fat Sal's, but they cut their sandwiches like that.
Like they
have like a loaf, and then they just cut down, but leave the one side open.
Okay. So that's a hybrid. I'll give you that. I can see that. I can see that. I don't eat subs, so I was not aware of that. I don't venture into that that part of the food world. But I'm gonna say a hot dog is not a sandwich.
All right. And then
I got a question for you though.
Okay.
When eating a hot dog, beef hot dog or regular hot dog?
Okay.
So all beef or Regular. Regular means, it's a mixture of like beef, chicken, pork.
Yeah. So I guess a little backstory is I stopped eating hot dogs for a long time because I got sick when I was younger, and the
Gotcha.
smell of hot dogs just disgusted me.
I
But
absolutely, I understand that.
that doesn't relate to your question, I guess. But now after, like, I'm fine with them, like I'll eat them, but beef is where I lean towards.
Beef's what you lean towards. I
Yeah.
strictly eat all beef hot dogs just because of the processing and
Mhm.
the shit you don't. Well, hot dog, yeah, processed foods anyway. Processed
Yeah.
foods fucking horrible for you, but I like the all beef. But going back to the getting sick, I completely understand. The last time I got like super like throwing my guts up, I had dinner at my parents' house, and my mom made meat. And me and my wife were younger, just like 4 years ago. My
Mhm.
son was like a year, 2 years old, year and a half, something like that. We went over to their house for dinner, and my mom made meatloaf. We ate dinner, came home. Soon as I got home, it just hit me, and I'm talking like it hurt so bad in my stomach. And ever since then, I can't think about meatloaf without thinking I gotta throw up.
Dang, that
So
sucks too.
I
Cause like,
won't eat. I won't eat meatloaf.
dang, I if that happened with me and meatloaf, I don't know. My mom, she makes really good meatloaf, but
Right?
man, see, like hot dogs,
Yeah.
that, and I remember I had blueberry waffles when I got sick. And those two
Blueberry
things I feel like you
waffles.
could like live without, but like meatloaf is a pretty big, like a good, you know what I mean? It's a
Yeah,
good meal.
meatloaf is, if you grow up like I grew up, I didn't grow up dirt poor, but I wasn't well off either.
Yeah.
I grew up in a single wide trailer in the southeast of the US. So, you know, like meatloaf was like a vital, you know, that was a meal
Yeah.
and a good one.
Yeah. No, that
But
one was
nowadays,
that was one of those meals where it was like a rare good meal. Like same
oh,
thing. Like
absolutely.
I grew up like sounds like similar circumstances, but like we'd make spaghetti a lot. A lot of stuff
Same
you can
here.
make in like for cheap in big quantities.
Oh
Spaghetti,
yeah, meat
tuna
or a fucking
casserole,
hamburger helper,
hamburger helper. Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah, like ramen noodles.
Yeah.
Chef Boyardee, those type things. I grew up eating a lot of that stuff, and now I just eat a lot of steak.
Dang.
Not the not, don't just not the expensive kind. So I eat a lot of meat. I'm a meat and potatoes kind of man. I don't really like vegetables. So
Same.
pertaining to meatloaf, no onions. Won't do it. Jerry
Oh,
though, he eats
okay.
onions. He's fucking farting and stuff, and that's whatever, man.
Dang. Maybe I don't want Jerry on the podcast.
Well, Jerry, I mean, he's he's a character, man. To be honest with you, maybe if you ever graciously invite me back for another episode, we can talk about other shit, talk about different
Oh,
things,
for sure.
whatever. I'll see if we can get Jerry on. He is a character. He can be somewhat of a dick, but sometimes he's a pleasure to be around. He's narrow minded and he lets the business get ahead of his. He's fucking selfish too. Jerry. God damn, he's a piece of shit. But you know, it will be fun. It would really
I
would be.
think we should clarify who exactly the truth of Jerry because it sounds like we're just bashing on this dude.
Well, Jerry's he's my manager.
Okay.
Jerry, he handles the business side of things. It's like if you were a rock star or if you were Tom Brady in the NFL, you're like, man, I don't have time to do this and that. Jerry schedules these things and I just show up. I don't have to do any work. So Jerry does all the work. So we joke about him. He does.
All right. So my last question before we wrap things up: what is your favorite or one of your favorite movies of all time?
Oh man, I'm going to say it's hard to pick an absolute favorite
Yeah,
because
that's why I said one of them. I'm the
I
same.
go through phases where I really like comedies or I really like, action flicks as a kid and that kind of thing. But one of my absolute favorite movies of all time is Coming to America with Eddie
Oh,
Murphy and Arsenio Hall. I love the '80s Murphy flicks. He's one of my favorite comedians of all time. Like you can't beat '80s Eddie Murphy comedy, in my opinion. That's uh, it's just an outstanding film, even though it wasn't like the best. It was. wasn't high budget, but it wasn't low budget either.
Yeah.
But Jesus, man, that movie's great. And me and some buddies, we quote that movie very often. That's one big thing you'll find out about me, especially if you hang out in my streams.
Mhm.
I quote movies a lot, and I'll just say random bullshit that
Same.
something in the game or one of my friends that'll say something, and it will trigger this memory of a movie and this movie quote in my head, and I'll say the quote, and people look at me like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy? This guy's
Dude,
fucking
I'm the
nuts," you know?
same way. And I know when you said it right now, I asked you, but not like how we're talking now, but it was through
You're
chat,
right.
and you did say coming to America. So I
Did
do
I?
know.
Did I
Yeah,
did that happen?
yeah.
It
But
may it may have.
right
It
when
may
you said
have.
that, it reminded me of when it was through chat though, so it wasn't like we were talking
Right.
like
Okay.
this. But
Right. So it wasn't as personal. It was a little more
yeah.
formal.
Well, all right, Firefox. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for pretty much everything. And again, like I said, I do this to want to get to know people more, and now I know why I don't see when I do see your stream. I realize, oh, it's not an everyday thing when you stream, and
You're
now
you're
I
right. You're
realize
right.
now, and obviously I would like to see more whenever you can, but now I know, hey, he's got a really busy life. He's got a kid, everything like that. Like I knew you had a kid, but
Right.
just
Yeah.
I know
And
you got a life, busy life.
I mean, yeah, I do it as much as I can. I really, really enjoyed doing this, man. It was fun. It was educational.
Yeah,
It was laid back. Just kind of a hangout spot.
yeah,
But I do, and that's also why, like, you know, I feel like sometimes I go like a week or two, and I feel like I'm not in any streams at all. I'm not in chats, and then I pop up, and I'm like, man, I'm sorry, I've been absent for 2 weeks, but then like 2 weeks will fly by like that. Excuse me, like that because of work, and I'll be like, oh man, these last 2 weeks just flew by, and I didn't do a damn thing.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's that. So if you catch me streaming, I'd be more than happy for you to stop by, say hey, hang out, ask questions. Tell me about yourself. For anybody who's listening to this who does not already know myself and or knows you, Bruin, check this guy out. None of this would be possible. Jerry would not have brought this whole thing up if it wasn't for this beautiful, beautiful person, Bruin. Check these podcasts out, check it stream out, man. Give him support. Not just
Thank you,
myself. Give him support. Fucking, do it right. Don't just come here because I'm the guest. He should be treated as a guest for inviting me because this has been an honor.
thank you. It means a lot. And I guess you're already a little on the topic, but plug yourself. Where could they? I know you can't see it, but your name is on the screen, so when people watch
Cool,
you,
cool.
they'll know. But
That's cool.
where could
My
people
name's
follow that?
here somewhere,
Actually, point
somewhere
right
there,
below, right
right
there.
there,
There you go.
right there. Don't disregard this Punisher shirt. Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
Oh yeah. Anyways, absolutely outstanding series on Netflix, by the way, The Punisher. Check it out. But yeah, man, appreciate you for having me for real. I really did enjoy it on a serious note. If you don't know who I am by now, I'm Firefox. You can find me on Twitch TV, Firefox_TV, um, at Twitter. I think it's God, I don't even know what it is because you know what? It couldn't be the same thing. So let's find out what it is. At the_Firefox_TV, the Firefox TV at Twitter. That's really the only social media that I use for my stream, just because I don't want to keep up with a whole bunch of shit. To be honest with you, I'm a busy man. Jerry handles all the shit anyway. So if you comment, you follow me on Twitter, I may not even see it. Jerry handles that shit. I'm just kidding. I'll see it. Jerry doesn't handle my social media stuff. Really though, Firefox_TV is the Twitch. Come hang out. If you see me in another stream, would it be Smitty from last week's episode? Episode number 1. I'm, Smitty's a good guy. Go follow him. Bees Weasel, the other guy I mentioned in the stream, or in the cast. Follow, fucking check that guy out too. I don't want to leave anybody out and not give him credit, but mainly Bruin.
Thank you.
Stop by his channel and find out what's brewing.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode. Thank you again, Firefox. Thank you for everybody listening. Again, Firefox also. So this one is going to be on YouTube for sure. And
Sure,
I'll
sure.
give you the link when it's all ready. But it
Okay.
also may be on Spotify and podcast if I
Okay.
can get it
Sure,
approved
sure
within
thing, man.
time.
Sure, sure.
But all right. Thank you very much again. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Have a good
Bye.
one, brother.